Isn't it tough in reacting to free scary true pizza delivery horror stories? This is volume 2. Before we get into the video, I got mine. You got yours? If you don't, I hope you don't get clucked up. Let's get into this video right now.
I started at 16 in my town in the suburbs of a big city. At first, they put me to help the chef in the kitchen and clean the place and stuff. 2 months later, my boss told me that on the days off of the main delivery boy, I would deliver, and I said yes, of course. Then all of a sudden, the delivery boy quit when he came from delivering a pizza at this one house. He looked traumatized and shaken, like something with his face and his eyes.
Oh, someone quit? Here's the unfortunate. I'm gonna get logical right here. The chance of you getting called the same time to go to that house that he got traumatized at is unlikely, but I think it happens. It happened.
He went into my boss's office and they argued for about 15 minutes. Then he came out and said, "Good luck, kid." Then told
Good luck my ass, I don't need your luck.
me he had quit. I asked why and he said, "Just a shitty job, that's all."
Oh.
He then patted me on the back and left. I knew it was something else than just a shitty job, but I didn't think much of it. That was the last time I saw him. So for the next couple of weeks, I was the delivery boy till they could find someone that can deliver pizzas. About 2 weeks into me delivering pizzas, my boss gave me the address to a house, and as usual, I put in the GPS and went over. Watching the sunset while driving over there, I was hoping it'd take 2 minutes tops so I could get home.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it was in the rural side of town, where the houses are
You know your town is big when you have a rural side.
like a quarter mile from each other. I
Oh.
stopped in front of the 2-floor house and looked at it. I got the creepiest feels when I stared at it.
If you get creepy vibes. I'm not gonna pull it out, but you get my point.
Lawn not cut, with weeds, dead trees, and the old porch with no chairs or flower pots or tables, just plain. It seemed abandoned, but I got out anyways and knocked on the door. I was hoping my boss gave me the wrong address or something, so
You didn't.
I could get the hell out of there. Then the door lock started to shake and the door opened. It was an old lady, at least 70 years old or something around there, with white hair, teeth missing, and skinny, very short too, but her eyes just glaring at me. It really freaked me out.
Wow.
I figured if I was nice, things would turn out okay after all. "Pepperoni pizza, ma'am?" I said as friendly as I could. "Yes," she said with a hoarse voice as if she had a sore throat.
Or smoked.
"Alrighty, here you go." I handed the pizza over, but she just looked at it with no emotion and didn't take it, getting her purse. "Did you come with someone else?"
Why would you ask that question? Because you know you up to no good. You know you up to no good when you ask someone else. Because there's someone else there, you ain't tripping. But if you're by yourself, she knows she can fuck you up. Just saying. Just saying.
I froze, then quickly looked up at her, still glaring at me. That question really frightened me.
You should say yes. He's in the back and he's waiting for you to give me the damn money.
"No," I said. "Where's the other one? He ran off on me last time he came."
Oh. So, yeah, I told you it was connected. Because I watched this video before, but it's been a long time since I did it. Because I watched Gator. Shouts out to Gator Martin. Best reaction channel ever. He reacted to this video.
"Ran off," I thought. It didn't make sense. "He quit some weeks ago," I said. Then she got her purse and started searching for money. Or so I thought.
Oh.
She did for about a minute, the longest minute ever, and with the hands in her purse, she stopped and looked at me, not in a look of surprise or in confusion, but just like...
Why would you look like that? You need to look at that. I'm sorry, I ain't got no
as
money.
if she was thinking really hard on something.
Oh no.
I could tell she was holding something in her right hand inside the purse, but I couldn't see what. I really started to freak out at this point. What if it was pepper spray or a knife?
Oh no. You'd be fucked if you had pepper spray. Put on them safety glasses.
Or even a gun. I mean, what could take her so long to get $10 out of her purse?
That's what I thought.
Then, behind her, I saw a shadow. A silhouette of a man coming to the door, and all of a sudden, I heard footsteps crushing the leaves on my left side next to the porch, and a man's deep voice saying, "Hey." I looked over and saw a head of a middle-aged man with a look of anger peeking over the porch. This guy then started to climb the porch, and that was when I realized I had enough. I darted to my car, threw the pizza inside, turned it on, and drove off. I didn't look back as I drove off in the dark. I had to lie and pay for the pizza out of my own pocket, but it
If you get to eat it, that's okay, but...
was worth it. On the day I quit, I decided to tell my boss what happened that evening, to which he freaked out as well and asked me why I hadn't told him. He said James told him something like he just walked out of there and didn't pay attention to her. My boss then called the cops to look into the sketchy situation, and he told me I could leave. About 2 days later, he called back, saying the cops had the house registered as foreclosed for over a year, and they found 3 people living in there when they broke in, which were 2 men and the old lady I encountered. They were arrested, and he didn't tell me anything else. I'm still traumatized, and I don't know what would have happened if I would have waited.
Holy shit.
They could have easily jumped me, but thank God I quit afterwards, and I'm still alive.
I know, right?
I'll never forget the time I was covering my friend's shift at a pizzeria we worked at.
Oh yeah?
He was the delivery boy, while I was usually the one man.
Don't call yourself a delivery boy. What if you're a 60-year-old man? I'm a boy. Voice crack. Pause. So you're 60. What if you're a 60-year-old? Oh, I'm the delivery boy. Nigga, you 60.
In the register. On that night, I made 2 real deliveries to normal people. Then, my manager gave
I like how you call them normal.
me one final delivery for the night. It was 5 miles away, which was a long drive for what I was used to.
You tripping.
The GPS told me to turn off the highway into some very quiet town. Somehow, I'd never even heard of this town. The GPS took
If you haven't heard of this town, chances are it's too good to be true of a town.
me down some side roads that were even more dead than the main streets in this town. Half of the street lights weren't even on. I didn't like
That's a ghetto town.
the looks of this place. I just wanted to deliver the pizza and be gone. So I arrived to the house. It was a single-floor little thing. I rang the bell, and almost immediately the door swung open. There was an older man, maybe in his upper 50s, that opened the door.
Okay.
His few hairs left on his head were gray, and he had a very pale face with a gray mustache. He gave me a smile and told me he'd be right back. He walked away into his house out of view, and I just stood there in the cold, waiting for him.
Okay.
I was a little uncomfortable with the area, and the looks of
If it's you're uncomfortable.
the guy answering didn't help. The sound of stomping on the creaky floors inside the house came to the door as
Honestly, if I'm gonna do any delivery jobs, I'm gonna conceal carry. I'm gonna conceal carry anyway. But I'm just saying, I would like to at least conceal carry my gun. A gun, a pistol, an armed pistol with me. If fucked up shit happens. Cause
the man
it does.
appeared back in the doorway with a smile. He said I should come inside where it's warm while I wait.
Bull. I tell him, my protocol says, my rules, I am not allowed to enter a stranger's house. I know you probably, the boss doesn't give 2 shits about you. Just saying. Let's say it's illegal. I have a tracker device on me. Just lie. Just come on. At least do something.
Waited. I told him it's okay, but he just started nudging for me to come inside. I cannot justify my actions, but it was like 5 degrees outside.
I'm good. If it was negative 500, I'm good. Well, you get my point. I ain't going in that house.
I foolishly stepped inside the sketchy stranger's house. He shut the door behind me and stepped off into another room in a hurry. It wasn't even much warmer in the house. He clearly didn't even have a heating system.
You tripping.
I found myself creeping closer and closer to the door as I got more uncomfortable. Then, the man came out of another room and gave me another smile. He opened up a door, apparently leading to the basement. He looked down and told me that he normally leaves his money down there. He asked me to come down there with him, but
I ain't doing shit. You already lured me in your house. Don't you think that's enough? No, I got to go in basement. You playing games. You need a controller. You playing games, okay? Let's agree with that. You know when you're in a basement, you're gonna get clucked up. You could get locked there. I'm serious. I used to have a basement in my house in Michigan. I don't have one here, but there was a lock to the door, and you could lock it from the top.
I refused.
Good.
Even from where I was standing, I could see it was totally pitch dark down there.
That's what I thought.
And then, what happened next is where it all fell apart.
Uh-oh.
I heard the sound of a creaking step coming from the basement. Somebody else was down there. I decided it was time to go and turned around to open the door, but the man was already right on top of me. I punched him in the face and managed to get him in a hold, but I heard somebody stomping up the basement steps, and I had to get out of there. I pushed the man to the floor, ran outside, got in my car, and drove off without looking back. I told my manager everything, and he called the cops, but I don't know whatever became of that. My manager gave me a couple days off afterwards. Since then, I am much wiser to the fact that you should never enter a stranger's house.
I knew that since I was born. No, since I was developing inside my uterus, okay? I knew that. I know I ain't tripping. This is what you need. If you don't have one, good luck.
I was out doing a delivery one late night. It was probably the longest drive I have ever taken for a pizza delivery. From the pizza place I worked at, it was a 20-minute drive, which...
20 minutes? Damn. That could get me across 3 cities, that drive. Yeah. Man. Yeah, I could actually get across to 3 cities. I'm not joking. I could get across 3 cities in 20 minutes. Technically in my area, but I don't know about yours. But I could go across 3 cities in 20 minutes. And you gonna tell me you're gonna drive that for a pizza? It's gonna get cold.
isn't too crazy out where I live. Plus, they ordered 4 large pies, so I figured it was a party and I would get a much bigger tip. Navigating the dirt roads at night was always annoying though. I pulled up to the given address. It was some old, sketchy looking building, literally in the
When you describe something as sketchy, it probably gets clucked up.
middle of a forest clearing. There were no cars parked anywhere or any lights on. I put my car in park and called my boss. I asked him to reread the address at least 3 times to make sure I typed it in right, but that checked out. I could tell he was in a really bitchy mood, and he told me to at least knock on the door and check it out. He would normally get mad if we took back 1 pie, but I was afraid of what he would do if I brought back 4.
Damn.
I was insanely unnerved, but got out anyway and forced myself to the front door of the building.
I would have quit.
There was no doorbell, so I just knocked.
I'm gonna get more mature. I know I'm being a bitch. But it's experiences like these that make you quit. I mean, it's hard to quit because it's going to get hard to find another job, and they might not even accept you because of your record, but of quitting.
Knocked really hard.
My motto would be, I don't fuck around. I don't cluck around. That's my work motto. I don't cluck around. I've quit over 50 jobs because I was about to die. That's right.
I heard nothing and didn't really expect to hear anything. I was extremely disappointed, not because nobody answered the door, but because I was realizing that it was all a waste of time and gas.
Oh.
I
forgot that you have to use your own car and your own gas.
One more time out of desperation.
Oh, I know your own car, but depending on what car you have. If you have like a fucking Chevy Suburban, use a whole gallon of gas to get there.
And then began to hear some kind of rustling noises from inside of the building. I knocked again and yelled that I was the pizza guy. There was silence now. I felt a bit more uncomfortable now than before. But before I could turn around, I noticed something at the window. There was someone looking through the window. I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. All I noticed were their eyes. Their eyes were open wider than I knew.
At this point, I'd be 5 miles out. Just saying. Pause. Sorry about that. But I don't bullshit. I'd honestly just lie. Because I just give him the money that I made. I'll tell him, no, they were being a bitch. They didn't tip me. They felt like assholes. They were assholes. They didn't decide to tip me. Sorry, I'm thinking about something that happened today. I'll just pay for the pizzas myself. I give them my own money. And I'll just put in the freezer or refrigerator, and I just eat them. I just eat them over a week span. Well, I'd eat a pizza a day. That's me, you know. But pizza every day, I mean, come on. Go ahead. I think they expire relatively quickly, fresh pizzas that have been baked, so I just microwave them. I'd eat one while I'm driving back to celebrate living. Either way, I'm not going to explain it. All I'm going to say is I'm going to pay for my own pocket, and I'm going to own the pizzas.
Impossible. Staring intently at me. I was disturbed enough by this and dropped the pizzas and ran back to my car.
You should have took them, but it's your choice.
The shitty thing wouldn't start until turning the key for the 3rd time. I drove off the grass and back onto the dirt road, but I felt the car rocking about, shaking and bumping. Something wasn't right. I didn't make it far from the building before I started hearing a sharp scraping sound coming from outside. There was so much resistance that I couldn't even drive. The car came to a stop. I got out of the car to check what the hell was wrong. A chill ran up my spine as I began to feel like my heart was constantly skipping beats.
Oh no.
My tires had been slashed and had completely fallen off the rim. Not just the front though. All 4 tires were slashed. I realized somebody did this when I was knocking on the door to that building. Instead of running, I got back in the car and locked the doors. I was so close to that building, I could practically see it from where I was. if it weren't for the trees blocking the view. I dialed 911 and explained everything to the operator. She told me the cops would be over as soon as possible and that I need to stay hidden.
Okay.
I asked her if it was advisable to stay in the car or run, and she told me it would be best to stay in the car with the door locked. She asked me to stay on the line with her until the cops arrived.
Okay.
My whole body was shaking. In all directions, there was nothing but dark, seemingly endless forest. I knew it would take forever for the cops to get there. I was not comfortable with sitting in that car so close to whoever did this. The next part, though, is what utterly destroyed me. It still shakes me to this day, and I hope nobody ever has to experience this kind of fear.
Damn.
As I was scanning all the windows, making sure nobody was outside, I looked in the rearview mirror, and there was the same person. The same person I saw at that window.
You fucked.
Eyes open wider than ever. I could see now that it was a woman, and I could ever so slightly see a smile begin to spread across her face.
Come on.
I opened my door and full-on sprinted into the woods, not caring how much noise I made. I ran until I was out of breath, which didn't take long, and I hid behind a giant log on the ground. I tried to cover my loud breathing with my hand, as I waited and waited for what felt like hours, until I finally heard sirens in the distance. I gathered up all the stamina I had left to run all the way back in the direction of the dirt road. Eventually, the glowing red and blue lights came into view, and I had never felt better in my life. They were parked in front of my car, investigating with flashlights. I came out yelling at them like a lunatic to help me. I fell to the floor and started to gag, almost throwing up from running so much. They picked me up and began to question me, to which I explained everything to the best of my ability. One of the two cars drove over to the building, and the two officers began to search the building. They came back with nothing except for a couple of spiky objects. These objects were exactly the same as the ones used to slash my tires. The cops guessed that it was some kind of sick, demented couple, being that I saw the woman, but unfortunately they were never found, and that still kills me to this day. I obviously quit my job right after that, and started working at a local grocery store.
Well,
I know that I'll never forget seeing that woman at the back of my car.
I won't either. Man, that was such a messed up story.